Tell us a little bit. I don't think a lot of people know about your time working with Lizzy Borden.
Oh yeah, Lizzy is awesome.
When is this, and what are you doing, and what was your role?
Well, I played on his demos and helped out in the studio a little bit. And we actually played one show together, and the band was not called Lizzy Borden though. It was under an assumed name, and it was like this sort of a secret show kind of thing. And the band was called the Crash Street Kids.
Oh.
And we started the song off with Lizzy in a trash can. We started the gig off with Lizzy in a trash can, right?
Love this.
Fitting the name. And so I was standing on top of the trash can, and the idea was I would jump dramatically off of the trash can, and Lizzy would spring up from the inside. And so Lizzy's in there with his wireless microphone, and it's a metal trash can. So there's all this weird static, going on. And so I wasn't going to start the song until we got this figured out, right? And I hear Lizzy pounding on the trash can on the lid going, "Start the song." Okay. And then, of course, I jumped off and he jumped out. And it was all. So that was, I don't know if there's footage of that. There was footage somewhere. Brian had it in his car that got broken into, and they took it. But I don't know if there's any video record of that particular show, but it was really cool.
When was this? What year?
Yeah, what demos are you playing on? What year is this? What album does this precede or follow?
This was Master of Disguise.
Oh, okay.
It would have been in like 88.
So you're doing demos for Master of Disguise, played a show under an assumed name. Why did you not end up in the band?
Well, I was on hiatus from Dirty Looks, and they well, just to understand, Dirty Looks has a very extremely high turnover rate, right? Mm-hmm. So so I was excused and then asked to come back.
Okay. So this is an interim thing.
So when I was excused, I went to LA and did all kinds of things. One of which was Lizzy Borden.
Wow. You also
I have to add to that Lizzy was totally cool about me going back to Dirty Looks. He couldn't have been any nicer about it, and I felt really bad. Got along with all the guys great, and regretted having to go, but I felt like that was the right thing to do.
Yeah. Have you ever done anything else like that we don't know about, like done session work for other artists that we're familiar with, or auditioned for a bigger band that we've heard of, but it didn't work out?
Mm-hmm.
Is there any skeletons in Paul Lidell's closet as far as gigs that came close but not quite?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's not a skeleton at all. It's actually one of the highlights of my existence on the planet. Was auditioning for Ronnie James Dio.
Oh, I don't even know this story. You must tell.
So Ronnie James Dio, Claude Schnell on keys, Vinny Appice on drums, Jimmy Bain on bass, and me on guitar. Here you go.
I did not know this about you, sir.
And so one of the coolest moments of my existence was when Ronnie James Dio, I said, should I play, because I had learned the Vivian Campbell solos. I said, should I play the Vivian Campbell solos, or do you want me to just, play what I would play? And he said, I'd rather hear Paul Lidel play than Vivian Campbell any day. which hearing that from Ronnie James Dio, and just to know that he knew my last name, thought was really cool. And those guys were so nice and just really wonderful. And I was bummed I didn't get the gig. Not only because it was freaking,
Dio,
but also because they were just so nice. And he and I are both from upstate New York, and we had a lot in common in terms of some of the clubs that we had played at early on. And he was talking about the Elf days, and just it was a great experience.
What year is this?
Except, with the exception of waiting in the waiting room for the audition, because I'm sitting there in the waiting room and I hear the absolute most incredible guitar playing that I'd ever heard coming really, really loud, just unbelievable shredding. And there's another guy in the waiting room, and he saw the expression on my face. He saw my face just melting, going, I'm just going to go home. And he goes, dude, don't worry. That's Paul Gilbert. Mr. Big is rehearsing next door. I'm like, okay, good. That's not the guy before me. That's my guy. Better.
That's classic. That's hilarious. What year is this you're auditioning for Dio?
Oh, this is all in the same time when I was on hiatus from Dirty Looks.
Okay.
So I got to LA, and all kinds of things were happening.
So who did that gig go to eventually?
So I'm standing in line at a bar at the Whiskey, as a matter of fact, standing in line to get in, and a couple people behind me, I hear this sounded like a child talking, but in an English accent. He said, "Yeah, I got the Dio gig," and I turn around, and here's this little kid in a football shirt. And it was Rowan Robertson.
Right.
And so that was how I found out that I didn't get the gig.
Wow. That's amazing. Yeah. That's amazing. I've known you all these years and I never knew that. Jason and I had an interesting encounter when we were in Nashville at Rockin' Pod. We ran into Brian J., who played guitar with Keel for a while.
Yeah.
And he was, I don't know what prompted this discussion, but he started talking about he auditioned for Dio at one point. And according to him, he had gotten his playing was good enough to get the gig, but Dio didn't want him in the band because he was way too tall. And Dio was self-conscious about too many tall players on stage, making him look even shorter than he already is. So Brian was like, it's the first time in my life being tall was a negative.
Well, Craig Goldie is very tall. He's just not as tall as Brian J.
Brian J was pretty darn tall when I
tall.
Yeah. Well, that's amazing, Paul.
Didn't they say Cliff almost didn't get the gig in AC/DC because he was too tall?
I don't know.
I don't know that story, but yeah.
Cliff Williams, not a tall guy.
Yeah.
But there was some debate whether he would get the gig or not.